Hello and welcome to today's video. We are going to go over proper sitting posture. So we're going to go over a couple of the different traditional postures today. The first one is a sitting posture on the floor on a cushion. So you can use a couple of different options for this. What I'm sitting on right now is called a Zafu, and this is what it looks like. So this is a Zafu. It is a cushion that is filled with buckwheat hulls. And the buckwheat hulls are very nice because, first of all, they're firm, so they create a good amount of support, and they won't soften or squish over time. And you can also open it up and remove some of the buckwheat hulls to adjust the height of your cushion based on your needs on how high you need to have your hips elevated. The other thing that I'm sitting on, this little pad right here, this is called a zabuton, and it looks like this. It is just a simple mat that goes underneath the cushion, and the reason for this is to help prevent pain in the ankles. So if you look here, if you're sitting on the floor, then your ankle bones will have something very soft to rest on so that it doesn't dig into the floor and create a lot of pain. You can use a cushion like this and a mat, or you can use a folded up blanket a couple of times for the floor mat and a pillow to sit on as a cushion. Or if you want a little bit more support so that you don't sink in when you're using it, you can take a towel and fold it up a few times, or a couple of towels depending on your needs. The purpose for this is to elevate the hips so there's not pain, but also it helps to keep the spine straight. So there is another option you can use. It's called a meditation bench, and I don't have one at the moment to show you, but it's a piece of wood that's shaped like this, and it looks like you're kneeling, but actually you would be sitting on the bench and then your feet go underneath. So another way to use a cushion like this is to put it up on its side like this, and you can sit on your knees. So this is a matter of preference, and I suggest experimenting. If you're finding that you want to sit on the floor but you're having a little bit of pain, then switch to the other one. There are also some ergonomical meditation chairs, and those are quite a bit more expensive. So included underneath this video, I've included some links to different sources for a Zafu or a Zabuton, as well as the ergonomical meditation chairs. So now we're going to go through proper seated posture. The first thing you're going to do, if you are seated on the floor and not kneeling like I just showed you, then you would have your legs cross-legged. So you can sit with one on top of the other like this. This is half lotus. You can sit full lotus, but I would recommend not using a cushion for that if your flexibility allows it. If you don't want to sit half lotus or full lotus and you're on a cushion, I suggest to stagger your feet. So first bringing one in and then bringing the other one so that you're not resting one leg on top of the other. And this helps to prevent your feet from falling asleep. So now that your legs are cross-legged and you're seated on the floor, the next thing to check in with is your spine. We want to make sure the spine is loosely straight. Too upright of a spine, too stiff or too tight, creates a lot of tension and can create a lot of pain, discomfort that's unnecessary. If you're too loose and you're slouching like this, you might fall asleep. It can create or give rise to lethargy and sleepiness. So here we want to have our spine loosely straight. And then the next thing, and this also goes in line with the spine, is to tuck your chin just so slightly. So if you're looking from the side, you're going to bring your chin in like this. And that just helps to keep the spine aligned as well. The next thing is a hand position. So for our hands, you've probably seen meditators or statues of the Buddha seated like this with one hand on top of the other and the thumbs touching. This is a traditional posture. You can also have your hands palm down on the thighs, or you can have them face up on the thighs. I don't practice this way, but I am told that this is to help give rise to a sense of openness. The way that I was taught for hand position is to bring the thumbs at the base of the ring finger and fold the fingers over the top like this. You don't want to squeeze because that can create some discomfort, just softly, and then resting them on the thighs. So your ulnar nerve connects here. And from what I understand, this helps to block this energy channel and help us stay a little bit more in our practice. The next one is our eyes. So with our eyes, you can have them closed, or if you prefer, or if you happen to have a lot of visual imagery in your thoughts, then you can have them softly open. So what I mean by this is we're going to gaze downward with our eyes about half open, just relaxed. And the gaze should be downward past the nose and about 6 inches off the floor. So we're going to relax our gaze in this position. And I want you to think about if you are looking at a window at night and you can see your own reflection. But if you look past that window, you can see all the way outside. That's a little bit of an explanation on how to relax your gaze if you're choosing to sit with your eyes open. This is the traditional way that most of the Tibetan schools teach, but you can also have your eyes closed. Again, this can create a bit of distraction if you are a very visual thinker. This is a matter of preference. You can try both options. The next one is tongue position. We're going to place our tongue onto the roof of our mouth very slightly, like this, and close the mouth. And this is to help prevent a lot of swallowing, which can be a distraction for some. This is not the most important aspect of your seated practice, so don't focus too hard on this. It's more important that you're sitting comfortably and without a lot of discomfort or pain. So this one is maybe for a little bit more experienced meditators or people who are looking to have longer sits, but eventually you may get there. So it's a good idea to practice this in general. The next one is the jaw. We don't want to be clenching our jaw because that creates tension and pain. So we're going to relax our jaw. The way that a lot of people find helpful is to just separate the lips a little bit, just a tiny bit. So that's your traditional seated posture on the floor. Similarly, if you are seated in a chair, then these different positions are the same. Your spine should be loosely straight. You can do the same hand positions and tuck your chin, relax your jaw and your tongue. The only difference is that you're seated in a chair. You can be seated with your legs folded like this in a chair if that's accessible for you. If not, then I suggest to put your feet on the floor. If you need back support, use the backrest. If not, then don't worry about it. So I suggest if you're going to be seated in a chair, one of the best kinds of chairs that you can use is an office chair because they're made for sitting for long periods. And the final posture is a laying down posture. So I don't usually recommend this unless somebody has some kind of physical issue where it makes sitting very difficult. The reason for this is that if you're laying down, it can first invite laziness. And second, it invites a sleepiness to your practice. It's way easier to fall asleep if you're laying down than it is if you're sitting up. So if you're going to be laying down, I suggest not to do it in a bed or on a couch. I do suggest to be on the floor because that's not a place that you usually sleep probably. You can use a pillow if you'd like. You can also put something underneath your legs to keep your body in a little bit of a more ergonomic position. If you're sitting for longer sits, this is great. If you practice yoga, you might be familiar with Shavasana. So if you want to lay in Shavasana to practice, that's fine also. And the last thing that I want to talk about is cultivating your space. So no matter where you're sitting, whether it's on the floor or in a chair or laying down, then you want to be sitting in a place that you can be relatively undistracted, as I've mentioned before. And I find it helpful to curate the space a little bit, make it inviting, make it a place that you want to go and sit down every day and practice. So for me, I personally like plants. I love incense, candles, and I have my sound bowl there just because I love to listen to the sound before I start. So this is a matter of preference also, and it's completely up to you. Thank you very much, and I'm excited to practice together.